Cool, cool. Yeah. All right, man. Well, welcome to the podcast, dude. Good to see you. I'll have to man, I kind of am getting the vibe you're probably going to be doing privates the whole time you're here, and then like eating lunch and then teaching a seminar. So,
It sounds like every seminar I've ever done so far. I've
well,
just started doing seminars, and every time I do it, any downtime is basically shoveling food, sleeping, or privates.
man, and I always like, I have the studio here at the gym and it's an awesome studio and I always want to have like the guest I'm training with or whatever on the podcast, but I think this is a really good idea. Get you on the show. I can put this out, and then more of our people that are coming to the seminar or not
Okay.
will see it. So,
Yeah, it sounds good.
yeah, man. Well, so
Okay.
this will be good too because I don't know a ton about you. I know a little bit of here and there. I know, just kind of like in passing what I've really talked to Jack and just what little we've got to know each other. But you're actually lived in or have citizenship at one point in Australia, correct? Like,
Yes, sir.
let's start with that. How does that tie into where you are now? And did you grow up there? Like what?
Well, yeah, sort of. So when I was about 11, my family moved to Australia, and I lived in Sydney for about 3, 4 years. And then we went back to America, lived in Atlanta until I was about 16, 17, and we moved back over to Melbourne. And I stayed in Melbourne for about 20 years. So I started jujitsu in Melbourne. I spent most of my time in Melbourne, and then ended up getting shipped over here to teach. So now I don't know what's going to happen. I might end up back in Melbourne sooner rather than later. We'll find out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it is. Yeah, that's kind of. And again, we can fill in some more of the blanks as we go along. But that's kind of the version I kind of know. You lived in Australia. I didn't know you'd moved back and forth, but then kind of arrived over here, teaching jujitsu over here. That's interesting going back and forth like that. Like, what are some of the big cultural differences that you've noted?
Um, Culturally, it's not much. I mean, Australians drink a lot more. It's just like the social pastime. If you're not having a beer,
Yeah.
you're waiting to have a beer.
The,
So there's a lot more drinking in Australia. Over here, very, very fucking competitive. So Americans are much more competitive than Australians. Um, Australians have a better sense of humor. Every time I open my mouth, I get in fucking trouble over here. Over there, it's different. Everyone's just constantly hanging shit up.
yeah, dude, like sarcasm is a lost art right now.
Yeah.
In this country, like people think you're being stupid or inappropriate in times when you're just making a joke like you would with your buddies. And I mean, I'm talking like on the loose end of the spectrum, like not even going, but I get what you're saying. Like that is, and that appears to be within the last decade.
Yeah,
Over here.
I've been out of town for a long time. I remember traveling back and forth to train with Rickson because I'd be in Australia. We'd have to fly over and stay for a chunk of time to do my privates and then fly back. What happened was I'd show up at an academy and I'd just start talking shit, and everyone would just stare at me like a dog being shown a card trick. It was brutal. I just learned how to shut my mouth. So
Yeah, that's interesting though, because like I mean, you're probably like so. What you're saying is for you, that's kind of like for making small talk.
yeah, I'm not a small talker. I try and stay to myself, but
Well, I
when
mean
I open my mouth,
that's what people do though. I mean, like when you're in a new setting, like and you want to strike up a conversation with somebody, like I don't know, like how you break the ice. You might as well throw an inappropriate joke out, just see how it lands.
yeah, that's not me. That's Jack's really good at that. Jack can just start talking to strangers, and it's great because I just sit there in horror thinking, like, why would you talk to them? I don't know them. What are they going to do now?
I have been out with Jack a few times over the years, and
He's a legend.
he is. He is. You'll
Fucking
have
love
to
that man.
ask him about the blackout burrito.
Man, I got a million stories. I don't think I need them.
We'll do those off air.
God, those are great. I'm happy to tell you some great ones off air.
Yeah, man. But okay, so let's start with that, like, and then like work into like, you know, how you connected with Rickson and stuff. But you know, I know you first through Jack. Jack is the first person who ever like said your name, was like, hey, my friend Chris Burns. And I remember Jack going to Australia like you know, several times, I feel like, and that was to go to your gym, right?
Yeah. So Australia was a wasteland of jujitsu when I started, because like back in the day we didn't have like social media and apps, and you could just watch people doing moves and shit. Like I had a dirty old copy of like DeFazio and Nino Schembri, like the VHS tapes.
Wow, I've got a whole row on one of my bookshelves. I'll give
Dude,
you.
they're gold.
Yeah, I got like old Dan Inosanto, which I think I found out Chris Howder is like an instructor under Dan Inosanto, if I'm not mistaken. Which I'm wearing my Chris Howder shirt right now.
Nice.
Yes.
Fucking A. Support.
Yes. Dude, I will say doing that dude's seminar was one of the craziest, funnest experiences ever.
Inosanto or Chris?
Chris training with Chris Howder. Yeah, I haven't got to train with Inosanto. Like right when I got to the point in life where I had enough time and money to do that, he wasn't teaching seminars, but he's starting to teach some seminars again right now on the other side of the pandemic.
Yeah. So Chris, on the other hand, like he is nonstop. Yes. He's a literal living legend. So.
I really enjoyed talking to him, and he said he would come on the podcast. I've got to get a hold of him and set it up. But
dude, definitely do.
It was like training with him was an experience, you know. Like, I mean that in a positive light, but just like you know, you're laughing. You know, you've trained. I've saw pictures of you training with him the other week.
Yeah, man. He's an old friend. We know each other for a long time. And he gets better with age.
You know what I told him the first time I saw him? I was like, man, you look way better in person. And then he just did that glare. But, you know, I will say it's interesting, back to Jack, how Jack has been like a nexus for me for a lot of people like that. I believe the first time I you know, became aware of Howder was hearing him on that SoCal Roll documentary, right? Like, you could be doing anything in 10 years. Why not be a jiu-jitsu? You know, that quote. And then kind of had charted him a little bit, but like that was really the first time I started becoming aware of Chris Howder. But then I saw Jack and him teach a couple of seminars together, you know, and then just really started getting into anything I could find of his, and it was awesome training with him. But that, you know, Jack is a cool, like I said, a nexus. Eddie Fivey, like I've met Eddie when we trained with Rickson out at that seminar in Vegas, and had him on the podcast, and yourself. So, but how did you meet Jack? Like, how did y'all get into contact with one another?
So I found Jack on the internet. So what happened was I was stuck in the middle of nowhere, and there was no one teaching what I wanted to learn. So I had to kind of drag people to me. And at one point, my instructor, to this day, Jason Robig, was doing a seminar in Melbourne. And it was the first ever Rickson black belt that was anywhere near me that I could meet. And I went running. So after that, I found out the huge difference between Rickson's stuff and everybody else's. I mean, like, you can't explain it. I'm not going to bother. Like, you either know or you don't. Either you're shitting on them or you're not.
Here's a way I explain, because like I tested for my judo black belt the week after I trained with Rickson for the first time, right? And I'd spent like 7 years learning how to do some throws, I learned more judo in that two seminars than I did in like 7 years of doing judo, right? But he taught me how to not get thrown. Everybody else is teaching you how to fall. That dude's like, here's how to not get thrown.
Yep.
You know, like it's like a total different perspective, and I mean that's a microcosm example, you know. But I'm a huge fan. I'm like you, man. I've why I love training with Jack and to do privates with him continually. I've hosted him into my gym. Why I'm having you in. It's the same. Like, oh, hey, there's this Rickson dude that has all this Rickson privy information. I'm trying to do like I'm down here.
That's how I found Jack. So I was doing the seminar with Jason, and Jason left town. And I'm sitting there like, I need more. And there's nothing out there. This is way before Henry Akins was filming anything and releasing stuff. I was just sitting there obsessed with wanting to understand Rickson's point of view when it came to jiu-jitsu. So I'm looking up Rickson guys, and I stumble across a video where he's teaching. I think it was that thing he was doing with Udo Jake. And
BJJ versus cancer.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but that's where I was introduced to Jack. I found him on YouTube, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. He seems like a nice guy. I'm gonna send him a note. So like, I always reach out. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm gonna send them a note. I'm gonna talk to people. I'm not gonna sit there and go, oh well, they'll never talk back. It's a 50-50 shot. Jack is 100% shot. You send him a message, he's gonna message back. Yeah, I did not know that. The second I messaged him, it was like, ding. The second. So we started a conversation, and that conversation de-escalated into dick jokes within like 5 minutes. And we fell in love. We've been together ever since.
Yes. Now, you know, that's, I think, how the band Blink-182 got together, too. So, like, there's dick jokes. They always make that. They're like, that's like one of their mantras. They're like, we just started off making dick jokes, and now here we are.
Well, but, that's me and Jack's relationship. So he's a wealth of knowledge. It's unbelievable how much this man knows.
It truly is. You know, he's been on the show a couple of times, but I mean, this is not a burn to anyone I've ever trained with, to my instructors or anything, but Jack has taught me more jiu-jitsu and more about jiu-jitsu, more functional stuff that I use than anyone ever, than most people combined. You know, I mean, and that's like, man, I'm kind of like you. Like I seek out that information, and you know, there is something special about the stuff we're talking about, right? And all the people I feel like that have anything negative to say have never been in the room with that guy.
Yeah, that's basically how it is. Anyone who shits on Rickson or Invisible Jiu Jitsu, which not a lot of people do, but if there is a chunk of people that want to pretend that it's not a thing, or that they've reinvented the wheel and that they've made it better, yeah, okay, cool. Then you obviously aren't in the room with Rickson enough, you know, because these simple, like, broad answers change everything. You know what I mean? Like when you were saying that Jack has taught you things that nobody else has ever taught you, that's Rickson. You know, like me and Jack just listen to what he says. There's not a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of people that take photos with him. Meanwhile, like if you just shut up and listen, and he says, "All right, turn your pinky that way, lean." Oh, fuck. Yeah. So that's where me and Jack met, like head to head. Like, yeah, no, I'm gonna do what he says.
Yeah. No. Man, I've had so many moments like that with Jack too, about just like light bulbs. Why didn't I think of that? Like, you know, where it, you know, I just told somebody I've been working with a guy one-on-one over posture and guard, which everybody, you know, talks about. But, you know, like when Jack was first telling me about that, he was like, hey, if you'll learn this, you won't get put in arm bars and triangles and guillotines and cross chokes and swept with the pendulum sweep. I was just like, well, now you kind of have my attention, you know, like.
Well, it turns out jiu-jitsu is really fucking easy. And nobody wants to know that. Everybody wants to think that they have to have 4,000 answers. Like if somebody's working on K-guard this month, wait, I need to know how to stop K-guard. No, you don't. You needed to know base. That was it. You needed to know base, connection, and weight distribution, a little bit of distance management. That's it. And all of a sudden, jujitsu becomes kind of vaguely boring to people. You know, like I don't get to go upside down. I don't get to do this. I don't get to invert for this. I don't get to do all the cool shit.
Bro, you're hurting my back just talking about that shit, okay?
Well, I'm living proof that sport jujitsu can suck a bag of dicks. I broke my spine doing it. So I'm not
So
going back.
You've competed a fair amount.
Yeah, I did. I was a competitive up to brown belt. I think I stopped at brown belt.
Me too.
But I broke my back around purple. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop doing this.
You know, okay, so I will say this, like we were texting about knee shield yesterday, so and half guard, but you know, when I was the same way, blue through brown belt, I competed. There were times when I was competing 3-4 weekends in a row. Right, was just like anywhere there was a tournament in my region, I would fly, drive, you know, whatever. But man, when I was playing like a ton of half guard knee shield specifically, I had all of these problems with my low back. I had all of this hip pain, and it was just like, you know, I would just play it on one side, and I would throw my knee up, and then everybody would just lean into that knee, and it was just essentially driving my hip out of place, I guess. But like my chiropractor all the time, he's like, bro, I can't believe you don't have any more problems with your low back. And I'm like, well, I stopped doing this shit that irritated it. Like, I don't do that anymore. So because it was breaking my body down, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing on the Rickson stuff too, though, and not necessarily relevant to that, but it's just like there's a reason for everything, and then there really is that shit that
it's not getting punched in the face.
Or okay,
That's
so
it.
Has Jack told you this story at the Vegas seminar? This is classic. He was like showing. It was like it was moving from open to closed guard and kind of knee shielding a little bit to take the back. And he's showing it on this guy, and he's showing him how to kind of, you know, lift his hips up. And then Rickson hits this dude in the nuts.
Yeah.
And he's like, cover that shit up. Like,
oh, so that's not even a Vegas one. That's worldwide. So every seminar I've ever done with Rickson, dude, jiu-jitsu was for fighting. And I don't have to argue this. The history of what I do for a living was not a sport. And I never got into this because I wanted to do a sport.
Get some points.
I think there's a large percentage of people that nowadays, maybe because it's getting more well-known because of Joe Rogan, they want to do the sport of jiu-jitsu. Dude, when I started, I wanted to know how to defend myself. And to this literal day, I want to know how to defend myself. I don't care about winning a medal that I paid for. That's never been the purpose for me. So the different, like there's two fucking lanes. I'm sorry, you've got competition, period. And yes, if you're a competitive guy and you got into a street fight, you got a much better chance of winning that fight, right? Meanwhile, you could accidentally break your own spine going for an inverted heel hook. Help yourself. That's fine. What I wanted to do to begin with was learn how to defend myself. And that's why I'm so like hardcore in the lane of Rickson, and I'm not changing.
How old are you?
40.
40, okay. Well,
Yeah.
you know, okay, so here's the thing. I'm 36 next month, and, you know, have had some injuries, torn labrum, dislocated collarbone, just different things over the years, you know, that I've had to deal with, and I'm getting older, and some of that other shit you just talked about, like there's not longevity in that stuff, you know.
No, there's not.
And the older I get, and
There's HGH.
yeah, back to Joe Rogan.
Dude, if I could get it, I'd take it. Jesus.
Hey, well, let me do so I have this orthopedic doctor friend that comes in. He's actually 74 years old. He's a hip doctor. He replaces people's hips. But he is from the Philippines, born in China, grew up in the Philippines, and he was the lightweight champion of the Philippines in judo. He's a 6th degree.
Wow.
But this dude is a medical genius also, and martial arts practitioner. He comes in, I'll train with him, and he's great. But he started getting me taking this stuff, which is a natural supplement called Tongkat Ali. And it's it does definitely, like, I've noticed a difference with recovery, sleep, and energy. And I just take 2 a day, and then I started taking 2 cordyceps mushrooms a day, and these are both like natural testosterone boosters. But I've been telling everybody about it because I'm like, yes, I'm like 10% more sleep, better sleep, just like feeling better physically overall, like recovering a little faster between workouts and stuff like that. So
That sounds interesting. I'd like to try that.
yeah, it's like I said, I've just been kind of trying to plug it to everybody because he was like, hey, everybody's been talking about this stuff at conferences because doctors don't like. He's like, we don't like doing testosterone shots. He's like, because if that person is still making any testosterone after they get off the shots, they won't be, is basically what he said. But he's like, these routes are natural and you don't deal with that if you stop it's just like you just go back to your normal production. It doesn't mess with your production.
Okay.
But it gives it's interesting. But that I was looking for something like that for a while, and but everybody just kind of does get the cream. You can do the TRT cream or the shot.
Uh-huh. So I found a really simple one. Not rolling like an idiot.
Not overtraining.
That one helped me.
Here's a quote for you. There is no overtraining, only under recovering. Like, that's another one.
Hey, I like that.
Danny Dring. That's a Danny Dring quote.
Nice. I like Danny.
Yeah. So I think I told you he's coming to the seminar. He's pumped about it.
That's cool, man.
Yep.
I'll show you as much Rickson as I can.
Yeah, dude, I'm pumped. And two, I will say, like, we were texting about this, but I've been working with, like, we just had a tournament. I do have some people compete, but man, I did have several of the students just get stuck in mount, and I've been working with them this week, like cleaning up a lot of that up. And then we were just like, well, we got to stop what we're doing and do mount escapes next month also,
Man.
So like but man, this is great because when you asked me 3 weeks ago about a topic, I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm working all this side control with Jack on the side with Joseph also. And, so I was like, oh, I don't know. But man, after the tournament, we did I had like 7 students total get mounted, and I had like 25 compete. So, and they did multiple divisions, a lot of them. So it's like, but that was just a note we observed it was 2 days of coaching. And I really haven't worked a ton with Jack on anything other than the bridge and roll and that tech mount escape.
So I'm very anal retentive. So when it comes to a position, I want to know literally everything top and bottom. So when it comes to the mount underneath defenses, you have defenses when they're striking, and there's defenses when it's jiu-jitsu. Now, they are not dissimilar whatsoever. So the 2 things that you need to be aware of more than anything in the world is the hip escape and the upa. And those are both taught wrong worldwide.
See, when you said Budo videos earlier, and I was like, oh, we're talking about Jack, because in my mind, like, when Rickson started like coming back onto the scene, one of his first things was he did that Budo videos where he taught everyone how to do the bridge and roll for the first time.
Yeah. So it's little things like that people, it's such a dying art. No one seems to give a shit. Everyone wants to do the new matrix complex system of whatever. They've reinvented the wheel a million times over. And if you have to invert from closed guard to do a back take, rolling over your shoulder, I quit. I'm done. So I had a gentleman one time at a gym I was teaching at just about a year ago. He was in the bottom of closed guard, and he reached under my leg and tried to let go of the guard and swing himself around. And it's a white belt. And I'm just sitting there staring. And he just swings back and then swings away and swings back, like expecting something to happen. I don't know what anyone's doing anymore. I've gone so far off the reservation of cool that I've given up. When it comes to simple things like the hip escape, if you don't know how to do that, you don't know how to do 99% of jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you're just doing break dancing on a slip and slide. I couldn't give a shit anymore. In regards to Rickson, yeah.
So what do you? Okay, so I have similar thoughts. Like this is a viewpoint in jiu-jitsu, right? And it's not just Rickson people, but like I mean, I think like there's a large demographic, like people that are 40 and up. Like myself, I'm 35. But like, where do you think a lot of this stuff that we're talking about that kind of does muddy the waters of? Because look, I think of it from this way. Like I have over 400 members at my gym. I have a lot of jiu-jitsu students, and some of them, because their friend here was competing, they were like, "Oh, I should compete," you know. And then it's like, but really, they probably shouldn't. They should probably just enjoy it for what we're talking about, you know. But then there's like it muddies the waters in that regard, and then this person's like, "Well, you know, I'm going to compete against these people, and they're going to go upside down and shit, and I'm going to have to. I should go upside down too." Like
Nope,
it's like
you just need to find base.
somebody throws a Superman punch, the other person almost immediately throws it. Like it's just almost this mimicking going on. But
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think started bringing all that in to the art?
Okay, I'm going to quote Jack of all people: "Nature abhors a vacuum."
He just said that like 2 days ago, or did you
Yeah.
post that?
I posted that. I like to quote that because sometimes Jack's smart. So nature abhors a vacuum. There is an empty space. People have a tendency to fill it with horse shit, right? So what happened was, and I will stand by this until I'm fucking dead. When the Gracie started teaching jujitsu in America, they only taught so much. And when Rickson was competing, he only taught so much. You weren't supposed to tell anybody else what was happening because then they would know what to do. It's like, oh, he's going to do this, so I have to do this. So it was like this big secret. Because when the UFC was happening, it was this secret weapon that no one could know about, right? It was a hidden thing. Not everybody knew what jiu-jitsu was. So they didn't teach everything. They would hide certain things. You know, you've heard that saying, like, Rickson guys feel different. Yeah. It's not just catch wrestling. You know what I mean? It's not just scrambling around looking for submissions and the stronger guy wins, right? So this was refined and whittled down over a long period of time. And until recently, only Rickson guys would know Rickson stuff. Now, it's becoming a lot more known, right? It's able to get out there because of the internet, because of COVID, because of filming things, because of guys like Henry filming and answering questions. Like it's out now. I love the fact that when Henry teaches something, it's mind blowing to some people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, these guys have been rolling around in a garage in Kentucky or something, and they saw a video on YouTube and they're trying to emulate it. There's a huge difference between kind of sort of seeing something and then having Rickson physically show you and make you feel why something works. And then pointing out all the deficits as to why it wouldn't work if you do it like this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where that empty space comes from, is that no one knew. No one knew that they didn't know. So they just started imitating, right? So I'm going to shoot him for the double leg. Okay, drop a level, see what happens. You know what I mean? As opposed to, I'm going to cover and clinch correctly, and then I'll take the double leg if he gives me the double leg. So there's a huge difference between Rickson's double leg and every wrestler in America. Right? So you don't know what you don't know.
That's I was thinking that quote as you were saying this, but I same seminar that I learned judo from Rickson.
Just so you know, I went through the Gokyo with him.
Oh,
so wow. I've gone over. If you're interested, I'll show you Rickson's clinched version of all these throws.
I would love.
And a lot of it's been whittled out.
Well, and two, yeah, you know, a lot of the throws that he was working, like Sukanagi. Which is like the reverse double leg kind of leg scooping throw.
Yeah, kokinagi, sukuinagi.
That is that's kind of gone by the wayside in judo because you can't grab the legs in competition anymore. You know?
Yeah, there's no rules with Rickson.
Exactly.
It's what works. It is Bruce Lee. It is what is efficient. It's what is correct. If it's useless, let it go. If you've got too many deficiencies for that move, if you have to be stronger or faster to do it, it's not jiu-jitsu. You can take strong and fast and put it over here and use it when you need it. Jiu-jitsu should be applicable for everyone.
So you went through like all 5 groups together?
Yeah, well, basically, I whittled them all down to the most useful because I don't want to grab a gi. I don't like getting punched in the face. It's not fun for me. I've been punched enough in my life. I'm done. If I get into the clinch, I'm not going to get punched as much.
That was one thing that stood out to me that was really interesting about training with Rickson. He did the like punch me in the touch my face, and he was picking it off with the elbow and like coming in for the underhook. But at one point during the stand up, he like put the hand on the chest, and he's like, you know, I could do this or I might do this, and that's really the only grip he showed. And like, you know,
I'm happy to show you more.
It was hours of seminar, but he was just like, yeah, you know, sometimes I'll grab. But it wasn't grip reliant. Like, you know, in judo, it's like...
No, it's base reliant. So here's a good answer. Let's say my hand is like an antenna. When I connect you with the hand, it's not a limb versus your body. Let's say that hand needs to connect all the way to my left foot. My left foot connects to the ground. So now when you push into that hand, you're pushing into the ground. The ground is solid. The ground is not moving. I have base. Right? So now when you start to pull, I turn my knee and I anchor my weight. There's tiny little things that are going to be able to make life a lot easier for you when it comes to takedowns and grappling. And base is the most important thing, because base plus connection equals X. If my hand isn't available, my elbow is. If my elbow isn't available, my shoulder is. Does it make sense? It kind of works its way up the antenna of connection. So when I'm in an over-under clinch, my shoulder is connected, not my hand. So depending on distance management, worry about getting hockey punched, you know, from grabbing onto the gi. I don't like getting uppercut. It's not fun, right? So I like to be tighter with my clinch. So all of my takedowns are, let's say, no gi judo, slash wrestling, slash sambo. It's all the same thing, right? And I don't care about the idea of dropping levels to grab legs. I will grab the legs if they're available, but I'm never going to drop below your chest because you can add weight to me. So I'm happy to show you every damn takedown.
Yeah, no, well, man, I love...
There's way less, by the way. Way less throws.
I'm about dwindling down these days. Like I have, you know, and I haven't seen this yet, but I saw Rickson a while back, and I just haven't watched it on the Rickson Academy. But my favorite throw was always ukiwaza, right? It's like a sacrifice throw. But I saw in my email he put out apparently like a couple of different videos on it, but. It's just like that sacrifice where you like it's like leg prop. Like
I like to just call it a lateral drop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's, I mean, literally
so
what it is.
What's fascinating about his ukiwaza is instead of falling and pulling across the leg, you're not pulling. You're actually sitting and your ass is moving away. So it's this weight distribution concept of the person being dragged. Now, when you do a takedown, you should know, I'm not going to... Let's say I'm not going to uchigari if you're pushing into me. Am I? We've lost viewers. So, like, if you're pulling away, I'm going to assist in your pull. If you're pushing in, I'm going to assist in your push. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
okay, it does.
Yeah. So from that over under, he's actually anchoring down and away with base. So when he does it, I'll do it to you so you can feel it. You anchor down and away, and they're already assisting to begin with. Right? So that clinch is important. It's very important.
Well, you know, some of the stuff he got into at that first day of the seminar was, I've heard a lot of people that do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, like they've got back with like Elio, the T position, you know, like where you're basically standing
it's not a thing.
What, like getting beside somebody and like connecting your hip like that before you ogoshi or whatever? You know?
Yeah, no, not a thing.
Really? All right. I'll have to.
Yeah, I'm happy to show you what he does. So the T position, you have no base. So if you imagine I'm standing in front and you're standing next to me and we look like a letter T, right? Physically, if I lean this way, your weight goes into your toes. If I lean this way, your weight goes into your heels. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in what's called a neutral base. You're only good side to side. You're not good back and forth. You have to step 1 foot forward, 1 foot back into a fighting base. The arm that's forward is a leg that's forward forever, and you need to anchor to their hip and their elbow. When they pull away, there's a resistance. When they push in, there's a wall. That's what creates the takedowns. When you push in, I get the hip throw. I get the hoist. When you pull, I step, I hook, leg hook, takedown. If you pull your hip back, hip throw. So everything comes from finding my base. You had to try and push or pull too much. You give me, let's say, what do you call it? Fuck, when you move people around spastically in judo.
Kazushi? You just talking about Kazushi or
yeah, you give me Kazushi. Yeah. So you're the one giving the Kazushi. I'm not creating Kazushi. I become a solid thing that you had to move, and you give too much or take too much.
Well, see, yeah, he taught that lesson at one of the days, like in like the beginning, right? But what was funny is like looking around the room, because like I'd never seen any of that shit. Looking around the room, you're like, oh man, so many people also don't get it. And like he actually came over and worked with us, but everybody was doing like they'd have the underhook or whatever. But
yeah, they put their nose before their toes.
Their hips were back. So like the new thing was like, oh, I connect the hip, and he was trying to like pull every time he'd pull the head to try and pull the head down. It's
okay,
like,
so that's a headlock.
It would lift their feet up off the ground.
Okay, so I'm going to show you, and I'll explain all of this to you. When you get into the side clinch, if you put me in a headlock, there's a positive and a negative. If my head's going forward, I'm at a deficit. My nose is before my toes, and it's easy to add weight. Your job is to do the opposite. So your hip connects and your head goes back. If they're not pulling your head down, your hip does not connect. Your hand is connected. It seems very finicky, but what you're doing is you're basically learning how to do the opposite of what somebody wants. That's it. So when he showed you how to not get
intensity, also, yes. Would you say?
Yes.
Like if they're pulling with a 3 power, you're pushing with a 3 power.
So I'm never going to go over. There's something that my coach does called body wiring, and we do this from neutral base. If we find a neutral base and someone puts 2 hands on the shoulder and starts to push, if I push back even harder and they let go, I go fine.
Yeah.
That's a takedown. If you push and I didn't push enough, that's a takedown. So learning the intricacies of connection through body wiring, I think is very important. Being able to understand that my left foot equals my right shoulder with these parameters, and I don't over or underdo anything. That's what makes Rickson's Jiu Jitsu so refined that it's annoying. Right? So to the point where people are like, yeah, whatever, I'll just fucking barrel through. I'll do a blast double. Like, help yourself. Cool. This guy's been literally like down at a creek sharpening a sword for 60 fucking years, and it's a razor. I don't need to blast double. Thank you.
I've been describing Rickson to people recently as the Musashi of jiu-jitsu.
He is. And that's like, sounds douchey to say, but he fucking is.
Like I do in there. Well, see, like if I run into somebody that doesn't know who Musashi is, I'm like, he's a samurai who got tired of killing people with a steel sword, so he started whittling boat paddles and shit and killing them with fake wooden swords. 60 people total.
I have an immense amount of respect for that man. There's a reason I do what I do, and it's not because I want to suck up. And I sure as shit don't want to be in the limelight. Like this, if you want to be in the limelight for anything, this is not the profession. I don't understand why people want to be on social media and push themselves out there and be like a guru or some shit telling people how to live their life. This guy was born into a family that did one specific thing. And he took that one specific thing and gave his body and his time and his life to it. There's something very commendable to that, right? The fact that he has refined an art out of his passion is the reason I am with this guy. Also, he's never been a dick to me. He's always gone above and beyond to help me. Always.
When is the first time you trained with him? Like, how did that come about?
I met him through Jason Robic. So Jason was my first introduction to physically feeling Rickson Gracie Jiu Jitsu. So he taught me how to do a hip escape. And that was a whole day of my life learning a hip escape. And I will never like forget that moment. The fact that you can build a frame that can bear weight and add weight. Like, because I fought guys that are like 7 times bigger than me on a daily basis. It was just a shit show. That's why I ended up doing so much fucking half guard, because I couldn't wrap my legs around these giant fucks. It turns out you're not supposed to. If you can build a frame, if you imagine, I'm in the middle of helping with Rickson's second book. And one of the best metaphors that we're using visually that I'm drawing, if you had a brick on top of a brick on top of a brick, it's kind of fucking heavy. It's hard to move. But if you had a brick and then you put a little pyramid, and you put a brick on top of that, it's very easy to move that brick, isn't it? Yeah, so your job is not to be strong and flexible and shit. You have to learn how to build frames that can bear weight and add weight. It's this phenomenal thing that he teaches specifically that I've never learned from anyone else. So I was taught that by Jason Robic. And that was my first introduction to this. And I had never turned back. I threw my belt away. I was like, all right, teach me from scratch. Let's do this. And I did. He brought Rickson to town for some seminars back in, fuck knows, long time ago, back when he used to travel. So he came over to Queensland and Melbourne and Sydney, and I was there. Any room that man was in, I was there. I went out of my way to make sure I was in his presence so I could pick something up. And what happened was, in Queensland, I was still recovering from a broken spine. And I couldn't do anything. I was just defending and laying on the bottom, like, kill me. Eventually, like, I could move again, but I had no strength in my lower back. I could pull my back out all the time. At one point in the seminar, he was doing the rear grab defense throw over the shoulder. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do that one. Is there something else I can do? He's like, why can't you do it? I was like, my back hurts. He's like, you don't use your back. Oh. What do I do? He walked me through step by step, and I didn't hurt my back. And when he walked away, I was like, all right, I've got questions. So I talked to Jason in the corner, and Jason was like, he slipped like 17 discs.
Oh, yeah.
He's done more damage to his back than you have. Why don't you ask him about his recovery stuff? I was like, will he let me talk to him? He was like, yeah, just hang out afterwards and ask us. So I waited. And I think I waited like a good hour because everybody wanted photos and all this shit. And I went over and I said, if you got 2 seconds, I got a bad back. And I was wondering about what you did for your recovery. That motherfucker spent an hour with me. And like, I believe Ty Humphrey was there in the background. He was kind of hanging out. It was just Rickson showing me back exercises. He hung out way longer than he ever needed to. And he showed me as much as he could to help me. Nobody didn't know who I was. Random fucking guy asking for a favor. I've had his back ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's man, I will say, like, it's I've only got to train with him just 2 times, but they were life-altering experiences for me. And like, when I say that to people, they don't really get it,
No one gets it until they do it.
But man, it did. And too, like, one of those seminars was like the red belt seminar, which he doesn't wear. But I was drilling with him when they came in and did that. He was showing the technique on me, and I was just like, oh wow, I'm a part of this moment, which he doesn't wear the red belt, but it's in the safe or whatever. Apparently,
he'll get there eventually. He follows his fucking rules and he lives by his word. Again, I respect him. Not a lot of men do that.
I tell this funny story about that seminar. Like, there was this guy there, and I forget his name. I've looked it up a few times, but it was this really old Brazilian guy who spoke maybe no English. And they're like, hey, we're giving you this red belt. And Rickson's like, kind of, it's emotional. All right. And then he's like, oh, wait, I have my principles, and I'm not wearing this. I'll put it in the safe. And then they're like, no, you need to take it. And then, like, everybody's saying their piece, and we're all just like, listening intently, and then this one dude speaks up. This Portuguese guy. I mean, he looks like he's in his 90s, and he apparently was one of Elio's students. Was how I remember this, right? And he's like, gives this huge monologue in Portuguese. And you remember when Anderson Silva fought in the UFC, and he would say all this shit, and then his translator would be like, Anderson says thank you very much. You know, like, but like it was like that, and then Hoyler's like, he says Dad would have wanted you to have it. You like that was kind of like this big long thing, and that was the interpretation. That
turns out it was all dick jokes. Little do you know.
Oh man, yeah, but that was man, that was
commendable.
That aside, well, yeah, like that he's like, I mean, he very easily could have just accepted it, but you know, he made
then it wouldn't have been Rickson
with that. He made a statement, you know.
Yeah, he did.
But man, that was such an awesome event to be a part of.
You're very lucky.
What year is this that you're training with him for the first time? Like when is that going?
Mid 2000s. So it was like early mid 2000s. It was a bit ago. I've been training with him nearly a decade. So I had like the first decade of jiu-jitsu was horseshit, and the second decade was like catching up. So I'm under 2 decades, but I didn't keep a good track. So I do know that I started doing seminars with him a while back, and then seminars became flying out to America for the chance of doing privates. So I would come over and I'd train at his son's and do private lessons and shit. And I'd always send him a message. Be like, hey man, I'm in town. You ready for a private? I think I did that like 5 times. Like flew to America multiple fucking times trying to do this. He's like, yeah, maybe next time. Like, cool. I'll see you next time. And I kept doing it until he's like, okay, come to my house. So we went to the house, started doing privates at his house. And then it just built from there because I moved over to America. And the place where I was working wanted to be a Rickson Academy. And I was like, okay, we can do this. How about we start doing privates with Rickson? Like, oh, well, no one gets to call Rickson. I'm like, call Rickson. Let's organize the private. And when I organized private with him, I said, why don't we do this every month? And, you know, we'll represent you. And that fell apart, but I didn't. I showed up every fucking month. So for the first chunk that I was here, I would drive out to LA 7 hours and just sleep in the car for the weekend and see if he would do a private. So I just kept showing up. Like, I'm here. Okay, maybe next weekend. All right, next weekend I drive out. Okay, maybe next weekend. Cool. I'll drive out next week. Then eventually it was like, fine. I just started doing private. And then I started flying, which was much nicer.
Yeah. Oh man. I have driven like from Arkansas to Vegas multiple times, Arkansas to Orlando multiple times.
How far is that ride?
Fuck. Vegas is like 19 hours. Orlando's 16 one way. Yeah. I think it's I have these wrinkles around my eyes.
I specifically bought a van that could have a bed in it so that I could do these road trips. So I slept in the van down at the ocean.
Oh, nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Like I'd go and visit friends in LA. I'd stop over at Howder's, hang out with him, go and visit a friend named Nori. It was cool. It was a nice little thing. But now it's such a regular thing. I fly out, I sleep in Howder's garage. It's nice.
Sick.
And then we go over what we learned at the private. Nice. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I saw you were just like, well, I mean, I don't know, you just were posting pictures and Howder too of you were training out there like what, last weekend?
Yeah, Chris comes with me to most of all the privates, and Joseph comes out. It's always kind of a grab bag of whoever's available to do it with me, you know. But Chris is usually available, so we try and do it together every time. Yeah.
Man, Joseph has been Jack's Uke.
Yeah, Joseph's a lovely guy.
Privates. I mean, yeah, he's a great looking dude, you know. Like, fair, very fair skin, a nice looking skin. But
Little Dave Navarro.
he's in he's in some of the Rickson videos, on Rickson Academy. So like, I was joking with him when he was Jack Zuke. I was like, man, I kind of feel like we know each other. It's just like we've never talked, but I saw
That's
you.
why I fucking hired him, man.
So one of the greatest judo lessons I've ever been a part of watching on video. You were the uke, and he was like,
See, we need to get him to jump in the ocean in a gi and do a photo shoot.
Yes, the essence.
Be good for business.
That's hilarious. Yeah, one too. He was doing like the very first private Jack turned on with him. He was doing the splits, and like to warm up, and I was just like. And Jack's like, oh yeah, this dude's like 68 years old or some shit like that. and I was.
Oh, he just turned 50.
Yeah, he's like.
He wears it well.
But man, 2 shoulder replacements. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus, he had a thing with his stomach recently. He's a warrior. He keeps coming back. He's good.
Yeah. No, but it's been awesome. I've done some privates with Jack over Zoom where it's like I had somebody there and they went really well, like honestly. But then he's gone above and beyond and had Joseph there for the last
Jack's
4 or 5.
That.
So yeah.
So he'll have an uke. It's the easiest way to teach is by having an uke instead of just telling people what to do.
For sure.
So Zoom privates are doable. But the downside is you can't feel what Jack wants you to do or what Rickson wants you to do. They have to have a very sturdy knowledge of base and weight distribution. So every position has a form of base, and every response has a weight distribution. So learning how to connect and disconnect, that's kind of the hidden thing that Rickson has that nobody really pays attention to. No, that's why the SDU is so fucking good, but it's ignored. So you've got those 3-minute videos of the standing arm lock from the shoulder grab, and everyone's like, yeah, you got to let them do it. Dude, it's a real thing. You have to have connection and weight distribution to make it a real thing.
Well, like one thing I've noticed too that like just about people in general is that like right now, if it's not a 15 to 60 second clip, they don't want anything to do with it.
It's unfortunate.
Like I remember I had filmed a video over like posture. It was like posture and guard. It was like 9 minutes long. It's like, oh yeah, I explained like 1.5% of this shit to y'all right now in 9 minutes, and like you like it still went way over your fucking head. Like I got out the part about not getting put in arm bars and shit. But and they're just like, oh, we like it when you do the short ones.
Yeah.
But that's like people, and it's like these are people that like are training jiu-jitsu. It's
I'm gonna give you the best quote that I've ever gotten that I live by, and it's from Chris. Feed the hungry, not the bloated.
Yeah, I think I saw you post that too.
It's true. We were in the car talking about people that are spoiled rotten. And they want, and they have no idea what they need. There are people out there that understand how important this is, right? So there's Chris. Chris goes out of his way to do these privates with Rickson Gracie. Chris does not have to do this. Chris is fine. Chris can do his own thing for the rest of his life. Chris is a forever student of martial arts. Every time we walk away from Rickson's, the two of us are fucking silent. We're sitting there eating sushi by ourselves, just like, fuck have I been doing for 20 years? And this is Chris fucking Howder. He is hungry, not bloated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that stuck with me because he was telling me like, fuck those guys. Feed the hungry, not the bloated. Live by that. There are going to be students that genuinely want this, and then there are going to be students that'll do 20 lessons and then go down the road to learn how to do K-guard. Cool. Like the goal is not to have 1,000 students repetitively doing what I told them to do. What I want them to do is to have a sturdy bullshit filter and to be able to do this on their own. That was the best thing I ever got from Jason. Jason was telling me that Rickson is more of a plug-in adapter. You know, he's the plug and adapter of jiu-jitsu. You can take all your moves and plug and adapt what he teaches to it. So the concepts behind what jiu-jitsu is versus what the moves are is more important. So my concepts are different to other people. I don't want my students getting punched. Like, I don't care if you're doing a gi tournament, you need to manage the distance. You're not going to sit up to do a sit-up sweep. They're going to sit up and they're going to give you the sit-up sweep, right? You shouldn't be presenting things that can be used against you. This was a self-defense when it started, and it's going to be a self-defense when I'm dead.
Yeah, you mentioned, like we're talking about, one thing with Rickson that was really remarkable is like every little position, like he was like, claw my face. You know, like I don't remember exactly how he said it, but you know, like you would just take a swipe at his face, and you're this far away. He's like, yeah, I can't touch your eyes. You know,
but he can touch you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's distance management.
Yes.
So anytime you're in the side clinch, you're in the closed guard, you're in the half guard. Like, no, you shouldn't be there. You're at a deficit. Your job is to sweep and get on top and cover the distance, right? Or your job is to put them back in the guard, cut an angle, and cover the distance. Now, if it's open, same thing. Hopefully, when I'm there, I can show you the similarities between all of these things. So, to quote Musashi, you can see the way broadly. You can see it in all things. That's the goal of Rickson's Jiu-Jitsu. Now, I'm not speaking out of term. You know, like, I don't know what he wants to say the goal is, but the goal is pretty much good luck. That's Rickson's goal. Like, what if I do this? Like, good luck.
You know, everybody pays a lot of lip service to the idea of like a principle-based jiu-jitsu, but you know, and like you've talked about some things since we've been chatting, base, posture, distribution of weight, connection. But like, man, those are things that, like, those are the things I picked up from studying his stuff or training with him, but particularly, like, I will just say Jack has really been the main conduit of information. Because I was like you, man, like early on, I tell Jack this, I think we talked about it on when he was on my podcast before, but I used to like find old documentaries of Rickson on YouTube where it was in a different language, but there was English subtitles. There was like, it's like a Japanese documentary. And he's like, he's jumping up on a trampoline in it on his belly. Like super high. Anyway.
What is so cool about that, before I could ever train with him, I used to watch, like, people would upload the VHS of a seminar he did in Hawaii back in the 1993. Yeah. So when you watch that, he still teaches it.
Yeah.
That's the important thing to take away, is that when he does the hip bump sweep, 2 hands touch the ground and you walk around. If you post your hand up, unlock. If you post your elbow, back take. It's been like 30 odd years. If it's not broken, you don't have to fix it. That's the best part about it.
Is it the Hawaii seminar or Chicago that like
he has the man bun?
There's that. But it's, well, there's one, it's an iconic moment to me because Jack did a moment like this. Basically he gets on all fours and he's like, take my back. And like all of these people start trying to take his back and he just like stands up and they fall off. And he's like, basically he's like, yeah, you shouldn't fall off when, you know, you're on someone's back. Like,
yeah. So he does the same thing for the mount. It's like, okay, mount. Doomph, doomph, doomph. And it's basic concepts. So if you're on top in the mount, my job is to make you a part of my hips. Done. That's it. Now all the things work. If you're on my back, hooks in, hooks out, doesn't matter. Are you too high? Are you too low? Are you over, under? Like, yeah, feel free to give me your deficits, right? When you're on somebody's back, you shouldn't fall off. You should be in the middle.
See, the middle, that's another principle that I didn't mention, but that's something I've picked up. Like, and these are the really valuable, you know, they're not esoteric, but it's just like you gotta be in the room, you know?
Dude, it is literally the foundation that you build a fucking house on. Just because you have a jacuzzi and a toilet doesn't mean you have a house. You have to have a foundation and a roof. If you understand what the middle is, you're already like miles ahead of someone. Like I was doing, I was teaching at another place down the road, and we would always have black belts coming in from out of town because the guy who owns it was famous. And the black belts would come in. It would be like a fucking Gracie challenge every week. And these guys would be doing the stupidest shit. All I was doing was finding the middle and letting them do stupid shit. And like 1 in 10 would ask questions. The rest of them would just disappear. You know, like, I like doing the staple pass. Well, I'm happy to show you what to do instead. I like the staple. Okay, have a good night. Not everybody wants to have the answer. They just want to know, they want to be reaffirmed in what they think is right.
So, hey, small world sidebar while we're talking about people that you're training. Jim Ginter.
Random. He trains me.
Yeah, I know. Nice. I was on a podcast. He had me on a podcast recently. He wasn't on this podcast, but I'm going to get him to come on. But I know Jim because he and I are both black belts under
podcasts.
So do you know about Jim's like his role with Superfoot? Oh, bro.
I don't know anything about Jim. I know that Jim's a really sweet guy.
He is. He's a super nice dude, and I will say I had like a really great time chatting with him. So, do you know who Bill Superfoot Wallace is?
I know him by name. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, he's a legend. He was like in movies in the 80s and 90s with Jackie Chan and different people. But Chuck Norris's best friend. You know, like what a cool thing.
That's cool.
Like Chuck Norris is my bro. But he was the commentator in the first UFC. Right. He was the Rickson of kickboxing in the late 70s and early 80s. You know, and he's also a judo black belt and trained in Okinawa. That's where he got into striking, but he crushed his knee throwing someone incorrectly with I think an ogoshi, and threw somebody on his own knee. Right. So like, you know, if your feet are too far apart, anyway.
Yep.
That happened to him. And, but he got into kickboxing. He's known as Superfoot because one of his legs is bad. But Jim is one of the guys that runs Bill's organization. He's I'm like.
No wonder he was so good with the roundhouse kick today.
Yeah, bro. We
were doing roundhouse kick defenses at the academy just before this.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in terms of striking, he has amazing information, ability.
Awesome.
This dude's got to be, I don't know what rank he is. I'm about to test for my 2nd degree with Bill, and this dude's been around Bill long enough that he's one of the guys, he's on the board, the testings, they were like, hey, we want you to do a podcast with a bunch of the school owner affiliates, and he contacted me and was like, we're going to do a podcast about this stuff. And I was like, cool. But you came up on that podcast, and then he saw that you're teaching a seminar. He's like, that's my jiu-jitsu coach. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's so random right now. So the fact that he found me and we've been working, I've been teaching him. I'm teaching in a gun range next to a prison, next to a wildlife thing with lions.
How far away? How far is he driving to train with you?
I'm not sure, but it's far because I'm in nothing. I'm a good 30 minutes away from Cottonwood, and Cottonwood's another 30 minutes away from Jerome. So it's 2 hours from Phoenix. And let's just say we don't get Uber Eats.
I feel you.
Not happy out here. I came out here for a very specific reason, and now that reason is gone. So I'm kind of looking for the exit.
So what specifically brought you to Arizona? I mean,
the singer from Tool. He wanted a Rickson, coach for his academy, and then he didn't want a Rickson coach for his academy. So yeah, I didn't mix well there. That was not the place for me. So I left and started my own little thing.
Nice.
So I'm just sitting here waiting to see where I go next. Because there's kind of a few people that want me in a few places. But we bought a house and I just had a kid. So we're just sitting it out. Plus, I'm training with Rickson all the time. You know, so I don't want to go back to Australia just yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get to Rickson. So we're just deciding what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I feel like I don't know a ton about Jim, but I feel like he's a business guru.
Dude, he's very good. He was trying to show me how to run the business here.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he gave me a whole plan on what to do. And then I realized I would have to be here. So I took a step back. Like, we found a facility and there's enough people here. But man, I miss the ocean so much, you know? And it's not my vibe out here. Like I said, I wouldn't mind being able to order dumplings at 8 o'clock from Uber Eats and get up and go surfing. That's kind of where I came from.
So
So
what do
for
you
now,
I mean, you think like SoCal is a better place for you to settle, or you think like I know you kind of mentioned going back to Australia, or are you just still kind of up in the air on all of it?
up in the air. So it depends on my wife. So she works in the film industry. And if she's able to work remote, we can work anywhere. But if they want her to work in the studio, we're probably going to move closer to the studio. So, and wherever I land is where I'm going to build an academy. So if I land back where I already have an academy, I don't have to build one. Because I've got a couple of affiliates already. So who knows? Maybe I'll land in an affiliate.
Yeah, I mean that's you never know, man. I will say like this is something kind of interesting that just happened. Did you watch or chart any ADCC at all this past go around?
The stakes have never been so low. I couldn't care less.
Okay. Well, so there was this 10th Planet black belt on there who trained in San Diego from like purple belt, like originally trained in Arizona, but then he trained in San Diego with this guy Gio Martinez. All the way to got his black belt, and he's competed in ADCC and like all like Gordon Ryan, like every heavyweight you ever heard of, he has a match with him. And that dude moved like right across the river from us, and now trains here like almost every day. I'm just like, what are the odds? You know, like he just landed. He's like, I was like, bro, why are you here in your Prius in Arkansas? You know, in not San Diego. And he was born and grew up in San Francisco, like in the Bay Area. And he was like, man, my property taxes are $25 a year over here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. That's why I'm never leaving. Like the cost of living.
Cost of living is all right. So hear me out. Cost of living here is fantastic.
Yeah, I bet.
But what are you getting in return?
I know. You know, like
I'm talking about right here, not where you are. This
I've heard
people here
try and justify like why he. I mean, in years of living in LA, I guess I could maybe get it. But I was listening to him talk on like Joe Rogan's podcast or something about like because everybody was like, dude, why the fuck did you move out in the desert? You know, and he's got the vineyard and stuff, but it's like I've driven like going to Vegas. You know, like. Russellville is on I-40, and I-40 ends at Barstow, and that's where you turn and go 2 hours to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So like, I've driven through Flagstaff, which I think Jim may be around Flagstaff.
Pretty sure that's where
they have a Superfoot testing up there. But bro, once you get the other side of Amarillo from where I'm coming, it's like, what the fuck is what is going on over here? Like, there's
man, to each their own. And that's super cool. And I know people that love living in a rainforest. I don't need to be in that kind of humidity. Everybody's into their own thing. Sedona's gorgeous. And the town of Jerome is really cool. It's hip and it looks like a little Disney town where people actually live in it. Everything's fine for 10 minutes, you know, and then you realize you got to drive half an hour down a hill to go to the grocery store, or you got to spend tons of money and have it ordered from Amazon and maybe it shows up. Meanwhile, like you go out to Sedona and everyone looks like they belong in Whole Foods. So it's not my thing. That's all. And to each their own, but this is definitely not my bag. And again, I'd rather be, I don't know, surfer's paradise. Queensland. I'd be in Torquay. You know, Torquay is nice.
What do you think if you're talking economics, cost of living, um, anything like that? Like if you're doing pros and cons of the United States, Australia, you moving back. I mean, is it comparable? Like
Socialized healthcare.
bro, I know. I was saying.
Yeah, no, I spent way too much money on insurance when I got here. I didn't know. America is basically one big cheat code. And don't get me wrong, I love America. There's a lot that I love about America. But this place is like one big Ponzi scheme of one person ripping off the other person to rip off the other person. Like you have a bill that's in the mail for something you never did, and it's late, and you have to pay that bill. Well, we're going to send you another bill. It's a 50-50 shot if someone's stupid enough to pay the bill. You know, you get a text message every 10 seconds, somebody saying, like, we canceled your Amazon account. You need to give me your code. Dude, everyone is trying to find a stupid person to fuck over here at all times. So you have to be constantly vigilant. Meanwhile, in Australia, it's how to be.
Hey, we got Crocodile Dundee over here, though. Okay,
Yeah, it's true.
It's classic.
I'm sorry, like it just runs smoother. But then when it hits a bump, like when COVID happened, and in Victoria, Dan Andrews was in charge, everything was locked down 24 hours a fucking day.
And you weren't over there. You had already come over when lockdown started happening, because I know things got really strict over there. Like what?
They got super strict. So I was very uncomfortable with that, and that was a big green light for me to come here. So I was debating whether or not this was a good idea. So I was originally asked to come over and do something very specific that I believed in, and I thought it was going to be great. You know, so I came over here with a purpose. And I was backed by the fact that like Australia did not feel comfortable. I didn't like the fact that they were saying you can't take the trash out after 6 p.m. You're not allowed to leave your house. If you leave your house, if you're in a park, you have to wear a mask. Like I'm alone in a park and I have to wear a mask. And if you see me not wearing one, it's $200 fine. They found a way to profit off of the tragedy. Yeah. And I felt very uncomfortable. That was a good reason that I came here.
What is it like right now over there? Any better?
Apparently it's fine. So I haven't been keeping up to date with it. I'm pretty sure Dan Andrews is still in charge, but I think they took as much as they could. And then people started not paying because I didn't pay for shit. They tried to fine me $10,000 for having my academy open. So I was, oh, it's great. So the day that everything happened, I closed my academy 1 month before they told people to close their academies. Because I had students that were getting sick. And I thought, cool, let's close down for a little bit until this blows over. And I had a lot of students that were pissed off. I was like, all right, fair enough. Fuck yourself. Then they said, all right, your academy can be open, but only 2 people can be in it to film. So they started making up rules as they went. My academy at the time was in a gym facility. So you had to go inside the gym to get to the mat space to film. Apparently the people living next door that saw called the police, and the police came down and saw 2 people in a gym. And they didn't know what the laws were yet. So I had 5 cops that were super polite going like, I don't know if you're doing something wrong. I'm going to have to call my supervisor. And they came back and said, yep, so we have to ask you to leave. You can't be in the gym. You can be in a facility filming, but not in a gym facility. I said, okay, so that's the rules. Let's follow the rules. Thank you. See you later. Next thing you know, they call me up and say it's a $10,000 fine. So they just started making up rules as they went. And I fought that to the bitter end. I was just waiting to take it to the magistrate's court. And the fun part.
Did they drop it?
Probably. Yeah, they dropped it. Dude, I'm not paying.
You just blew my mind. Like literally the cops around here were like, hey, like, don't worry, we're not going to fuck with anybody. And then one time there was like a fugitive out over here, something like they were chasing somebody. And we were inside training with the lights off. It was like low key, you know, like
so
big open mat.
We did the same thing. So I waited months. I tried to be super cool about it. And everyone that was getting COVID was fine. You know, and then like the comorbidity rates, and there was a lot about people going in there and people saying like he died of COVID. He got hit by a bus. Yeah, but the hospital got $9,000 because he died of COVID. There was a lot of shit happening. Meanwhile, I'm getting a pittance from the government. They're just paying me to exist, and my business is dying. Lots of sole traders went out of business during that time. And I had a lot of students that wanted to continue to train, whether they got sick or not. So I had to make a moral decision, and I did. I let them train. If you want to train, I'll take the risk. Fine. We had a facility that had no windows, and we started sneaking into the back and doing classes. This is way deep into it. Like, people are done. They're ready to get back to normal. We were super cool for months. My students were all cops. So even the cops wanted to train during that time. I had my normal students. I had my police officer students. Nobody was supposed to know anything. Jesus Christ. It was a shit show. And everybody was doing the same thing. They were going about their own business, but doing it like a speakeasy, to be able to survive. At least over here, Americans are like, I'm just going to do my thing. They just ignored everything. A lot of states.
Yeah,
they just
particularly in my part.
I'm fine.
In the South, man, that's where even the institutions like the sheriffs and law enforcement were like, nah, we're not enforcing that.
Yeah, so it was a state thing. With Victoria, they gave the police officers their marching orders on a daily basis. They were usually very confused as to what they should or shouldn't do because they had borders. You weren't allowed to drive into the city. You weren't allowed to drive past the border to another state. You weren't allowed to not wear a mask in public. You got a $200 fine. They went really deep in. Victoria is the place where you get fined because you got a fine. So I decided to cut a rug. We got the offer to come out here. I was like, done. I'm in.
But you still have your academy open out there. Is that true?
Yeah, it's actually gotten better. So they moved into a larger facility and put down spring-loaded mats. They're going to start advertising soon. So we never advertised. We always kind of existed. We would have guys from other clubs come in to ask questions. Like, he keeps going upside down. What do I do? Lean to the left. Whoa, I'll be back Wednesday. They'd still train over there, but they come over and learn from me. So we never had to advertise. I was always teaching private lessons. So we'll start running it like a real academy soon.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Man, too, one thing, when I was talking about, all this kind of stuff, about running academies with Jim Ginter on that podcast. But my number one thing that I always tell people is just if there's any way you could here's the thing. We have captured some of the essence of Chris Burns through this conversation and recording it.
I'm sorry.
Well, here's the thing, man. Anybody that hits you up, just like when you watch the Jack videos, if anybody sees this, they're like, oh, that guy's authentic. He's an authentic person. You're not bullshitting around, and if you can ever figure out a way to transplant real authenticity and capture it and interject it into your business, because I'm being authentic right now too. This is the person I am. I say the fuck word and stuff just like you, and then I put it on the internet. It's not. It's a weird deal, but people like it. It's authentic, and people just.
I like how you refer to it as the fuck word.
Yeah.
That's the fuck word.
Anyway. But it's people appreciate me not saying the F word. It's I say
some
people
appreciate authenticity. Some people balk at it. Some people want you to be what they want you to be, and that's unfortunate. That's why I usually end up working for myself quite a bit.
Hey, it's panned out for me so far because
you're doing good.
People see.
At least you're not sitting in a car.
I like your. Is that your car seat back there? You got the dog under the hatch.
My son's car seat. It was either this, ask Caleb. The last time I did a podcast, I think I was in a car. So it's the only place that's actually quiet in my life.
Hey, so you see my dog back here dressed as Napoleon Bonaparte?
I have the same thing of my dog. I had to do it. I had to.
Yeah. My mother-in-law, she got me that, and then I've got another one of my other dog, Gracie.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I never got one done for Tala because she's a piece of shit.
I showed Cora those pictures of your dogs. We're thinking about getting a third one. We love our puppies.
Yeah, so do we. We're pretty bad about that, but we got to move. So I can't afford another dog.
Yeah,
we'll see after we move.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been awesome. I'm glad we got a chance to do this. I was getting worried with like I said earlier with the seminar and privates, and then I know you're going to teach at Caleb's that we wouldn't have time to sit down and have a conversation in the studio.
I'm glad we got to do this.
Do it ahead of time, and I also tell Jim I said hello next time you see him.
I will. He actually just came to class today. We were doing not getting punched from the mount. I'm really, really adamant about how Rickson teaches it versus other schools. It's very important to me that you understand how to not be punched underneath the mount. That is one of the top 10 things that every jiu-jitsu guy wearing a black belt should know. And there's quite a bit to it. And Jim picked it up very fast. So he's a quick learner.
Yeah, shout out to Jim. I'll see you at the next Superfoot camp for sure. So, but yeah, that guy, his striking is amazing. I saw him put a video of him and then it was like he was showing this one footwork to like a side kick. And
that's cool.
I was like, Howie, look at Jim Ginter doing this, right? And like we were drilling it, like me and one of my fighters, I was like, just does kickboxing mostly. And I was training for a fight, and I was like, man, because Bill Wallace, he's known for the side kick. And his side kick is like amazing. This dude will be like, hey, I'm gonna kick you right here. Put your hand here. Don't let me do it. And then he pump fakes, and kicks so hard to the stomach. You lower your hand, and then he kicks you in the face. Like I've seen him do it to multiple people.
I like that.
This dude is wild. But man, that's kind of Jim Ginter gets it. Like he's been following that dude around for decades.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, well, dude, if you need anything along the way on your travels, hit me up. You got my number. It's been awesome.
I appreciate that.
Chatting with you, man. We've been going about an hour and a half. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to you.
That's not a problem. Thank you for giving a shit.
Yeah. Hey, I'm seeking you out. So maybe you finally arrived. People contacting you like you contacted Jack.
I'll show you everything I know, and the easiest tilder of all of this, I'm going to show you exactly what Rickson showed me, not what I think he showed me, not my opinion about what he showed me. I'm going to show you exactly what he shows me.
Excellent, man. Well,
and I'm probably going to swear a lot.
Hey, you'll be right at home. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be getting my own private lesson in and the seminar, and probably lurking around while you're doing those other privates, peeking, seeing what's going on.
I could always use an okay.
I'm more than happy to help. So,
okay, cool.
All right, man. Well, have a great day.
Thank you for your time.
Awesome, man. Take it easy.